Hello, my name is Luzecu, and I would like to welcome you to the very first installment of Holiday Spirit, a segment in which you get to watch me stumble my way through piloting a holiday-themed battle group. In this case, we'll be playing some spirits because it's going to be Halloween soon. So in the first, my first deploy here, I'm considering Soul Siren or the Arroyo Shade Striker. I do go with the Soul Siren because I think she's a little bit more flexible, and the Shade Striker is a little bit faster. So even if I have to deploy him second on this map, and he's going to be running a little bit slower, a little bit further behind, he'll catch up. That and the fact that the Soul Siren can pull, and she has a little bit better range. So if she's going to be rushing for that mid font there, I think she'll be doing a little better. Now he does have the Headhunter here for his first deploy, and yeah, that makes me a little bit worried. I do have some detection in the battle group, but you know, getting assassinated always sucks. So for my second deploy here, once again, if you see, I'm kind of mousing over the Garu medium, but he's super slow, 5 speed. Not really something that I probably want to deploy here to take that font that's closer to me, and I do eventually decide for the Shade Striker. I hope. Do I? Yeah, I do. Look at that. So let's talk a little bit about spirits while there is a little bit of downtime. Spirits have a lot of cool synergies going for them. They do have a lot of units that have phase shift ability, which makes them incorporeal, which of course works very well with the Utter Dark Spectre having insubstantiate, which makes your incorporeal units be invisible. It does not suck. Um, Also, there's a little bit of synergy there with Soul Siphon. Uh, I rather Soul Tapped, I apologize. And of course, there's a couple of payoff cards that have Surge Spirit. Um, so that's kind of what this battle group is about. It also has Whispers of the Veil, which is a 25 Nora spell that gives you 30 HP buffer. So it's very efficient, provided you have at least 6 spirits out in the field. So now we're going to be deploying a medium because it's a lot of hit points, and this is probably the furthest up that I'll be able to deploy it to kind of compensate for its slower speed. Um, and although thinking about it, it's probably was kind of a mistake here to deploy it, because when it comes in, it makes your units impenetrable for 4 turns. And with the Assassinate unit out on the field, I probably want to hold that back for when I'm actually in threat range to get assassinated. It's probably next turn would have been a better deploy. But you guys do see the ability there, the unit Arroyo Eye that I have, which is also very synergistic with this battle group, because not only is it a spirit that brings detection, it also has that nifty replicate ability, which doesn't suck when you're running units that have Surge Spirit. Um, as far as what my opponent deployed, some creepy unit that looks like it belongs in the ring. I don't know what it's called. And the Ire Guard, of course. So my opponent will be playing a little bit of the kind of super champ type battle group, I want to say. He does like to cast some spells. Um, so I don't. Oh, so obviously I have to go contest the mid font there, and I'm debating what to do, which I do a lot because I'm not very good at this game, as will become abundantly clear very fast. So I'm deciding whether or not I replicate here, or if I try to teleport and try to find my opponent. The stealth unit that can assassinate. I, of course, correctly, I believe, choose to replicate here. And yeah, I really don't know where to go. at this point because I'm scared of getting assassinated. Um, However, as I was pointing out, here, even though I have to go contest, I can do so without much worry of getting assassinated because I'm incorporeal this turn. So it gives you a little bit of space there, which is nice. Um, for my deploy, I'm going to end up going with the Leviathan. Now that's a very tanky unit in this battle group. It does have that Surge Spirit ability, and it has Vaporize coupled with Resistance Magical 3, which is, not a bad combination. Not a bad combination at all. It also has Soul Seeker, which lets it move around nice and quick, considering that we have the Arroyo Eye, which can actually soul tap at range. Now, the units that I'm able to hit here with it are obviously not the Ire Guard. I'm probably going to be going for this aspect of Oblivion, which you'll see me do very ineffectually. Now, the opponent here does use the spell that removes all abilities from my Garu, which is kind of bad, right? Because I lose the spirit, but it's not a very expensive unit. So I'm kind of okay with it because the medium does have the helpless ability, which makes it take more damage, and without it, he's kind of a bag of 50 hit points that has 3-4 range, hits for 10. He's okay. I can live with that. I can honestly live with that. Because now he's kind of cheap, right? Because I believe that spell that removes my abilities is kind of on the expensive side. And he was originally 68 Nora, so I figure if that spell is about 45, he's now a very cost-effective unit. Now you see me teleport here, trying to find his stalker or whatever the assassinate unit is called, and unfortunately I can't do it. So now I'm debating if I can go in and do any damage anywhere. And I decide that, yeah, I definitely can, I believe. Um, we'll see what I do. I'll be as surprised as you guys are. Um, I'm honestly maybe paying a little bit more attention to the battle group than I am to the actual game, which is okay. If you guys want good strategy, you probably tuned into the wrong channel. So yeah, I move up, perhaps a little too far up, but we'll see. We'll see in a moment. Um, I really like this Soul Render because Initiative is a very good ability, and he can also get around pretty well. He has Soul Seeker, he has Hunter, Soul Tapped, and Soul Channeling, which will actually play a role in this game. What Soul Channeling does is it heals the Soul Renderer for 2 for every unit that's Soul Tapped, as well as applying Soul Tapped at the end of its turn to any enemy unit within 2 spaces, which is going to be kind of important in this game. Yeah, he also provides magic damage, which I have, but not too much in this battle group, so it's good to have magic damage these days. And Hunter Soul Tapped is always nice, so he'll take a little bit less damage, making him a little bit more tanky, and he'll take and do a little bit more damage. Now my opponent does put Impervious on the Ire Guard, which, he's going to be doing quite a bit this game. Kind of sucks, but it is what it is. And yeah, he's probably going to hit me a couple of times. That's what I see coming in the near future for myself. Let me go ahead and speed this game up just a little bit so you guys aren't too bored. There we go. And yeah, so he elects to go ahead and hit my Leviathan, applying that rend, as well as allowing his big scary guy there with the long arms to still do some damage. Let's see it go pew pew. There we go. But not too much damage. I can live with that. And so now I think I'm going to attempt to go ahead and kill the big scary monster because he's big and scary. And my idea here is probably to punch through the Oblivion Shield with the Garu, and then apply Soul Rend with the Arroyo Eye, fly in um, with the Leviathan, and finish it off with the Siren, right? But something happens here, which is very weird. I get damage back. Now, you'd be surprised. I see me clicking on the unit, and looking at it now, it's obvious that this is Righteous Deflection. But usually Righteous Deflection has an animation, which for whatever reason didn't proc this time. And I go ahead and keep attacking into it. I even click on the unit because usually when the Righteous Deflection is up, it has a little icon at the bottom that's like a little shield that says, hey, by the way, this unit has Righteous Deflection. You just got hit in the face. You probably shouldn't keep doing that, but no, I just go ahead and keep at it, which is not the smartest move, right? So that's the first proc of Oblivion Shield because all of my previous attacks were not very effectual. Yeah, and so yeah, see, three times I attacked into into Righteous Deflection, and you see it actually says it right there, Righteous Deflection. But no, I was kind of frustrated at this point because nothing was working, and I kept clicking looking for that Righteous Deflection icon. Wasn't there. I didn't know what was going on, so I was looking for some spell maybe, I don't know, and it wasn't there. And yeah, this is not my finest moment. But we keep playing because this game is about making less mistakes than your opponent. At this point, I'm losing that game, but that's okay. So Leviathan here proves to be extremely tanky, which is fantastic, right? You see him take these massive attacks left and right. But the fact is that I'm going to go ahead and lose the Leviathan here, right? Am I going to? I might lose the Leviathan here. Now my opponent does send my Soul Render packing there with his shove people into the void or something ability, which is the third icon if you've noticed on him. When he gets enough charges, he gets to just send me away. I believe the Nora back for the unit, and it goes on a 2-turn cooldown. So it's kind of more of a strategic initiative, kind of like battlefield control um, ability, not really one that gives you too much advantage as far as Nora is concerned. So Impervious is gone off the Ire Guard, and I'm thinking, what can I do here? How can I pew pew a little bit? So I only get one attack here with the Shade Strike, but I do get two with the Leviathan, and both of those have Spirit Surge. So, you know, there is currently 1, 2, 3, 4 spirits on the field, and we're gonna try to drop a fifth one, so that will bring me up to +5 damage. I believe it's +4 because the unit doesn't count itself. Wait, do we? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, because the Garu only makes spirit with its projection, but is itself not a projection, unlike the Spirit of the Mountains, which I also run in this battle group. So I like to go with the Experimental War Spirit here. Because, you know, he's running a lot of these spells that make you impervious to either ranged or melee damage, and I figure having a Dispel on a stick is not bad in this situation. And yeah, overall, I think that The experimental war spirit is obviously on the expensive side, but he brings a lot to the table in a very situational manner. So I do the one attack here, and we go ahead and Moby for the kill. I don't know if it's worth it or not. Probably a better solution there, or a cheaper solution, shall we say, would have been to go ahead and cast Ancestral Anger on the Garo medium and get the kill that way. But hindsight is 2020. We elect to do it this way. Of course, we are going to go ahead and lose the Leviathan, but I figure the Norglobes are fairly safe. I'm going to go ahead and get that because he does not want to move into the cluster that is right there in front of him. I do lose both my fawns, so that is kind of scary. So now, up until this point, even when he took my first font, we were still 2-2 because I am contesting his font. So kind of trying to figure out what I want to do here. I do want the Nora globes first, and we want to, oh, look, see, now their righteous deflection did show. And now we know exactly what we're dealing with the righteous deflection, right? So that's what didn't happen last time, and I'm like, oh, I know what this is. I can deal with this by, of course, ignoring it. That's how I deal with most of my problems. So I choose. So as you see, my Aradark Soul Render is back because he was, on vacation for 2 turns, and he does have that initiative. So with dropping a relic in that font that's closer to me and walking into the other one, I'll be able to basically contest both, which is okay. We're now back. We're going to be back to a one font to one font. I'm okay with that. And honestly, we're both kind of casting a lot of spells here, or I'm not casting as many spells as him, but mine are a little bit more expensive. So I feel like I don't feel that far behind. Let's put it that way. So the war spirit here, there's going to be a little bit of something that's going on that I am going to ask you, the viewer, for some information, because I'm sure there's many people watching this that know considerably more about this game than I do. But back to the game, while we have a little bit of a lull, I'd like to point out that Nature's Balance is in this battle group because there are a couple of units that have vulnerability magic, the Arroyo Eye and being one, and of course the Shade Strikers being the other. Now, the Nature's Balance is supposed to provide not only the reduction of the removal of all amplification and vulnerabilities on the battlefield, it is also supposed to have empathy, which gives regen 1 to all friendly units within 5 spaces, as well as Gift of Scrying. However, both of those abilities are not working right now, so if you're somebody who can fix that and you're watching this video, be kind of cool to have a look at. So I am currently, oh, I'm just chilling. It's not my turn. Excellent. Yeah, back to the game. Yeah, so my opponent does choose to relinquish my first font because he knows what's coming and it isn't good, which lets me kind of deploy there and pressure him. I am moving that Arroyo Eye around, and it's proving to be invaluable in this particular case because it basically creates a bubble of anti-assassination, right? Because as long as I stay within 3 spaces of it, I can't get assassinated. Debating whether or not I want to move in and what I want to do, and I think what I end up deciding doing is dropping that Spirit of the Mountain into the font that I just got back because it's a big beefy boy, and I don't mind getting it punched in the face a couple of times specifically the spirit, right? Because I don't really care. Now, here's what I want to ask about. So whenever the KF unit gets deployed, the um, War Spirit is supposed to get impenetrable for 4 turns. So this will be turn 1, and we'll count along with me, if you will. I'm moving units around. I will be honest, I'm trying to not do it randomly, but it feels like that's what I do a lot of the time. I was trying there with the Shade Striker to stay out of range of the arrow shot from that winged monstrosity there hiding in the back lines. But I feel it's kind of trapped in that position, so I don't know if it was the best idea for him to move it in that direction to begin with, or maybe even deploy it there. But um, yeah, that's what he did. So we're kind of taking advantage. So this is going to be turn 2 right now of the impenetrable, and he does of course cast another impervious. But I'm playing split with FW, so I have answers to impervious, which I will deploy shortly. He does deploy another Ire Guard, so once again that big beefy unit with spell support, so it doesn't get killed very fast while it ramps. The Spirit, as you see, does not have an attack there. But I figure I can get an attack with both the Soul Render as well as with the um, Shade Strike. And the Shade Strike, of course, still has its nifty Surge Spirit ability, so it's gonna do some damage. I split, which gives me more damage, and I decide to see what we can do there. There we go. So that gives me an attack. That gives me 2 attacks. And I believe I will also get an attack with the Garo Medium. Now I'd like to say that at this point I'm doing math, but I'm not. And I know I should, but counting is hard. So we're just going to move in and we're going to punch some faces. I'm moving the Spirit Manifestation in the hope that it's a 2x2, so I might be able to detect his hidden unit, which he's doing a fantastic job with. By the way, the spell I cast there is Soul Reave, and yeah, I leave him on 2 units, 2 hit points, which sucks, because you never want to leave your enemy on 2 units, especially somebody running a battle group that has probably some sort of sacrifice spell or something like that. Yeah. So I'm trying to find his invisible unit. And oh, look what happens! Bam! He dies. Why does he die? Because Soul Render has soul channeling, which does apply that soul tap within to every unit within 2 spaces. And yeah, totally calculated. Math. I was doing it. I lied in my head and the 2 points, and yeah, that worked out very well. And oh, so there we go. Oh, I stopped counting. So right now was turn 4, and his big long arm chick man spirit thing right there. Yeah, did you see what it did? It went ahead and sent my war spirit into the thing again, into the hole, into the go away and we don't like you anymore place. And yeah, I don't know how, because I should technically have had impenetrable, and impenetrable reads this champion cannot be targeted, cannot be the target of abilities your enemy controls, including non-basic attacks. Pretty sure that was a non-basic attack to kick my guy in the butt into the nether regions of the whatever. Never mind. I was just, if you know what happened, let me know. I'm flying around with my, eyes here, trying to find his invisible freaking assassinate unit and having no freaking luck. But that's kind of the theme for this game. I also completely forget that I have Aurora Banner, which can also detect because it has illuminating burst. But whatever. I just don't judge me. Okay. This battle group is good. It has things that it can do. I cannot do them. So yeah, so there we go. We have the deployment of the other Dark Spectre, which goes ahead and hits phase shift. Now there's not a lot of units with phase shift on the board right now. Rather with incorporeal, but the main body of the Spirit of the Mountains is incorporeal every other turn, and it doesn't really attack. So once it goes incorporeal, it becomes invisible unless he kind of finds it. Now he does move in with the aspect of Oblivion, and he does nuke. Very importantly, my Arroyo Eye, and you'll see what happens next. He destroys the Arroyo Eye, which means I have no more detection in this area, so he can do it. Do it. Yes, he can do it. There we go. Sorry, he's being a little slow. He can assassinate. Yay! Or I don't even know if he actually hit assassinate there. Um, so yeah, so now he's like, oh wow, that guy is really far up, and his Ire Guard is going to destroy my spirit there, which is okay. I'm all right with that. I can make more, not a big deal. But we also had last turn, on my turn rather, Lich Magistrate being deployed. Yeah, there's another Impervious. He likes that spell a lot, which is okay. Forces me to kind of ignore that unit for this turn, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Okay, so back to Lich Magistrate. It is very good late game, I feel, because it also has a Surge Spirit. Its kit is very good, I believe. Obviously, it has base 7 damage, so it's not really packing a lot of heat to begin with. But in later parts of the game, where there is a little bit, there's a lot more units on the board, I feel that its damage becomes good, and there's more units being exchanged, so that Restless Soul on enemy kill within 5 becomes very, very snowbally. So perhaps a mistake there on my part. You see that his Oblivion guy was very low, and I did go ahead and burn a spell to kill it, but perhaps I should have teleported with the Lich Magistrate to within 5 of his unit in order to go ahead and make a spirit. So probably a mistake on my part there, but it is what it is. Now here, as you see, I'm kind of collecting mistakes, but I do elect to kind of run away with the Lich Magistrate instead, keep it safe-ish, I hope, but yeah, deploy another Shade Strike, which I think is fantastic for the cost, right? 7 speed, 10 damage is good considering Surge Spirit, Combat Awareness, Shade Strike, and only for 64 Nora, like you can't really go wrong. Okay, now Garo Medium, they just get hit with another spell, which is fantastic, right? He ate 2 spells. It's a super cost-effective unit in this situation. Once again, my Arroyo Eye is finally dead. You see how many times it died, but because it keeps replicating, just yeah, it eats a lot of attacks. I really like that unit. Now, let's not forget that both Spirit of the Mountain and my other Dark Spectre are invisible here, and I'm kind of deciding how to deal. Right now, the most pressing thing for me is probably that Ire Guard, so I'm going to be thinking about how to deal with it. And I do find a solution. I don't know if it's the right one, but I kind of abandon my Garo there. I say, screw it, he ate enough spells. And what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to cast Reclaim, which is a 15 aura spell. I know it's kind of expensive, but that Ire Guard is also expensive. And I'm going to go ahead and lock his Ire Guard in place because I have enough units there. And he doesn't really have a lot of other units in the area to pressure all of my units, right? Like I don't care if I take some damage from his invisible unit. in this situation. Um, so I'm doing a lot of thinking, um, which is not something I do often. Um, at least that's what my wife tells me. So yeah, so here we go. I finally decide to pull the trigger. I surround him. Go ahead. Yeah, there we go. And I and cast that reclaim. And now he's not going anywhere. He's basically a dead unit because he's not going to be attacking. Of course, the funny part is that, well, not funny, but yeah, my Utter Dark Spectre is invisible here, so he does still have some hope. I am kind of dancing around with the Lich Magistrate because I'm like, oh, where do I want to stand? And then I'm like, oh, I'm within 2 of the Ire Guard. He's going to attack. But then I'm like, oh, but he's going to be pacified. Yeah, there's just a lot going on in my head that's wrong. And so here he is. He tries to move. Oh, and there we go. He casts that spell that removes the abilities on my manifestation. Um, I think my opponent didn't make a lot of mistakes, but I think that was probably the biggest. Um, and sometimes it's not quantity, it's quality that matters. And I think my opponent is definitely winning in the quality of mistakes department there because not only did that spell cost him Nora, but also it gave me that free unit because now that manifestation is essentially a summon. It doesn't go away, and my Spirit of the Mountains doesn't read it as one of its spirits, so it goes ahead and makes another one. And there is another thing that just happened. If you look, his little assassinate guy is revealed, and I don't understand why. For the life of me. At first I thought that it was because I got the soul render put soul tapped on him due to soul channeling, but I don't think that that is the case because he would have been revealed at the start of his turn, not there. And of course there I pew pew a lot, and yeah, this is kind of the end of the game. I make some spirits, and yeah, rather, when I say the Lich Magistrate makes a spirit, and basically this is kind of this. I feel like this was the last nail in the coffin, especially with the casting of that spell on my Spirit of the Mountain manifestation. It's just put him way too far behind. What'll happen in just a moment here is that he's just going to skip a couple of turns and the game is going to end. So we're not going to sit through that. I'm not going to put you guys through that. But instead, what I will do is do a little bit of battle group tech here. We will go ahead and switch our windows to here, and we will look at the actual battle group. Now, I'll try to walk through it pretty quick and then look at the I'll show you the upgrades and then I'll look at some synergies. So obviously we have the big payoffs, which is going to be the Spirit Surge ability, right? So we have a number of units with it. We have 2 Arroyo Shade Strikes, we have 2 Lich Magistrates, as well as the Leviathan. Big tanky boy, like him. He's a little expensive, but this is one of those rare situations where I think paying a lot is worth it because you're getting a lot back. All right, so then we have the Arroyo Eye, which plays into a number of the synergies. It plays into the Spirit Surge synergy, as I've already mentioned, with the Replicate ability. It plays into the Soul Tap synergy with some of the units that can like Soul Render here that can Soul Seek, so you can apply that Soul Tap at range and then Soul Seek next to the unit. And detection on a unit that can replicate is always nice against those pesky stealth battle groups, which I hate playing against. Now, the next two units I'd like to look at are probably going to be the Garomedian and the Spirit of the Mountain, which basically kind of do the same thing. Of course, the improved speed here on the stick is very, very, very nice. Um, and we have Guiding Spirit. I don't think this is really important, but it is what it is. Um, so we have two units that basically make more meat and make more spirits. Deploying a Spirit of the Mountain is very nice because it is a spirit as well as the projection is a spirit that gets deployed right away. So it's like a +2 damage boost to all your Spirit Surge units with one deploy, which is very, very nifty. Then we have a considerable number of units that have um, phase shift and substantiate that works with it. So we have phase shift here. We have phase shift, a way of getting insubstantiate on the Spirit of the Mountain, on the Soul Siren, on both Ghost Stalkers, on Garomedian. So quite a number of units can go invisible, and some of them are really nasty when they're invisible. For instance, the Soul Siren here. Imagine knowing that there is a unit with pull that you cannot see that is invisible, just lurking about. I don't know, that just makes my butthole pucker. So I really enjoy the thought of my opponents having a puckered butthole. I guess I Okay, moving on to the next thing, we have the Ghost Stalker. Now, this is probably the reason why I'm splitting with KF instead of just going all out FW. And I know this isn't like anybody's favorite unit, but it is mine. I really, really enjoy the Mirror Blade ability, especially on such a cheap unit, especially with Illuminate. So he has a way of dealing with units that like to stealth but aren't stealthed yet. He has a way of dealing with high armor stacking. He has phase shift so he can go invisible. And most importantly, he pollutes the battlefield with his illusions so much. So it restricts enemy movement. It forces them to attack things which are really irrelevant. It is a fantastic, fantastic unit. I think that he is even a decent 1v1 deploy, like to a side font, because you can, as long as you get a first attack, you can, phase shift for the counter, and then you just move away and you block your opponent in with spirits that he has to chew through, and every turn you take a step back, you hit him once, you make two spirits, then you put your existing spirits, blocking it anyway. You can figure out what to do with this guy. I love him. This is the reason why we're splitting with KF. If you disagree, I don't blame you, but whatever. I like it. Then we have the Experimental War Spirit. By the way, yet another unit that can phase shift. So this guy is also cool when he's kind of invisible and he is somewhat designed for this split, right? So he can have that impenetrable, which apparently didn't work this game. I don't know what's going on. Let me know if you figured it out. And yeah, and Frightful Blows is always a nice ability, as is Soul Strike, right? So and the spell, he's an expensive deploy. When I was talking to another player, they basically said that yes, he's expensive, but when he's needed on the field, he can kind of turn the tide all on his own because he answers a number of questions very, very well. So if that's the problem your opponent is presenting you with, deploying him kind of eliminates that problem. So he's a great deploy. Now, one of the questionable units and ones that I don't deploy very often, but I kind of stuck in here because it is a spirit, and on paper it has some good synergies, but in reality I just don't find myself deploying it very much. But we'll go through it anyway. It is Aspect of life. And what's so great about it, obviously, when you get to enough charges, we have this boundless vitality. So once we get to 20 charges, you can basically lay on hands every turn, which does not suck. It does not suck at all. And getting there is kind of the issue. So if your opponent is playing something that heals a lot, but for not too much, so think of like maybe regeneration abilities, so like Draxar battle group or something like that. Obviously, you can stack those. That heal charge is going to proc a lot more often. She also has growth, so that works well with the Royal Eye. So you can technically like split or rather replicate around her, and then she's going to gain charges that way. Also, if you're Ghost, what's his name? Ghost Stalker. Yeah, my favorite unit, but I don't know its name. If your Ghost Stalker takes any damage and then it attacks, the illusions that come with Mirror Blade are also damaged. So then you can just take those illusions and have them hug Aspect of Life. And of course, she's going to heal them, and in turn, she's going to gain charges. So that's kind of a cool combo to have with her. She also has boost, which is fantastic. It's not linked to anything. It's not like boost spirits or anything. It just boosts. Everybody gets a little bit of life. That doesn't suck. She also has ethereal, so she can still also do the invisibility thing. If you have the Other Dark Spectre out, um, but generally she's hanging back far enough to where you're not really putting her in danger. At least that's the way I play her. And she has cleansing aura, which also doesn't suck against some battle groups. So she does have some tech that's fun and cool. Very good late game. If you have enough damaged units out. You can also look at her as a full heal bot. So if you have something that's tanky and that's been damaged a lot. So if you have like a very low life Utter Dark Leviathan, you can actually like bring her out just for that single lay on hands, and then everything on top of it is gravy. But she is expensive and she is squishy, so I don't find myself deploying her very often. I just don't really see a better spirit to put in here in her place because it's a KF slot. So that's kind of the units. And oh yeah, I also forgot to mention that Lich Magistrate does have inhibiting touch, so it kind of screws your opponent's healing if you are dealing with things that heal a lot, or with battle groups that are heal focused, which is nice to have. So as far as the spells, I think that Lich Magistrate definitely benefits from there being a lot of kills, right? Because each turn, once a turn, if an enemy unit is killed, it makes that spirit, which does count towards the spirit search spirit count. So it counts spirit count. I'm an idiot. Anyway, so yeah, so things like Essence Drain and Mobilization are obviously good kill spells, and yeah, that's why those are in here. You have Ancestral Anger to put on thing. Once again, to put on Lich Magistrate is a great example of where you would want to put it, because somebody gets into melee on this unit, and let's say it's because of Surge Spirit, it's at a higher damage value. That's always nice. Of course, Garo Medium is also another option. Also, I don't really know KF very well, so I was just sticking stuff that I thought in here that I thought looked good. This was one of the things that I put in here. Not really sold on it, but it does okay. Grimlick's Bane is of course another good kill spell. KF kind of staple, I want to say. Same thing with Herbal Antidote, I apologize. So if you don't have an Aspect of Life available in the area, Herbal Antidote is definitely a good option. Now we have the knockoff Fanfare here. I don't find myself using it very often, but I don't know if that's because I'm bad at the game or because I know the spell is good. I just don't know. Maybe it's not a good fit for this battle group. Obviously, Reclaim, Soul Rend you guys saw. Now, one of the other payoffs here is, as I've mentioned before in the beginning of the videos, Whispers of the Veil. Interesting thing that Whispers of the Veil do count your illusions, which are of course also spirits, for the max HP value, but units with Spirit Surge do not. So you can very early on cast Whispers of the Veil for maximum plus 30 HP damage buffer if you have a Ghost Stalker out, because 1 or 2 attacks and you're guaranteed to be at that 6 spirits out on the battlefield. Perhaps running 2 is a mistake. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Aurora Banner is also a good relic, right? You want to have that illuminating burst for once again dealing with armor as well as detecting units. And Bastion of Will is very nice because sometimes you get to face like a turn 1 unit deploy with a bash or something, and you just have no easy way of dealing with it. Bam, you plop this sucker down, and all of a sudden you're immune to charm. Um, Obviously, a banner. Nature's Balance we already talked about. Burning Oak Seed I think is kind of a staple in all KF battle groups, so we take it. Fire Eater, inhibiting touch, alternate attack damage, all good stuff. Keep it. Yeah. Honor Coin. Yeah, I think it's not bad. The damage is kind of nice for the commander. I tend to drop it on the Spirit of the Mountain, so I have this kind of giant bubble with improved speed and commander on a unit that is kind of hard to hit because it's usually sitting further back, and a lot of the time it's invisible. So yeah, it's kind of a thing. That's the battle group. I hope you enjoyed it. The only kind of caveat or adjustment that I would make is instead of this single Whispers of the Veil, I think I would put in a Disturbed Spirit running Doom, or though maybe Possess, because we're assuming, right, because it's always incorporeal, that this unit is going to be invisible. So if you have an invisible unit that has Possess, that doesn't suck. And probably Deafening Aura. That's what I would run. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah, if you didn't like it, yeah, let me know what you would like to see changed. Have a good one.